Well, I think that we're like so many couples who, when they get married, they never ever think that they're going to go through a divorce. I remember distinctly the very first time I saw Jena. I come home from college and I was attending our local church service and looked up in the choir loft, and there she was. She came sashaying into the choir loft.
So there I am, sitting in the choir loft, and it's time for the welcome to visitors. And out from the back leans out this guy, and he just kind of gives me the old wave.
And I think I got this look from her like, who is that?
And I thought to myself, what kind of guy is going to wave at somebody he doesn't even know in the middle of church? But secretly, the truth was that I thought, wow, he is really cute.
The early years of our marriage, we were just like so many couples. We're doing life, we're trying to figure out marriage.
Playing house. We were excited about living together and buying our house.
Working a job. She was working, I was working. About 2 years into the marriage, we have our first child, our son.
Doing all the things that everybody's supposed to do when they get married.
We were happy, and we were doing life together.
We were having a lot of fun. Had our children. We're going to church.
But if I look back on it now, I'm like, I'm not even sure that we even understood what it took to be married.
In the process, kind of our roads went in two separate directions, and we weren't really traveling together.
Life was taking a lot from us, and we had very little to give each other.
It wasn't that we necessarily were doing bad things. We were doing somewhat good things, very involved in our church and things like that. But we were so busy that we missed each other in the process.
Well, that wasn't going too well for me because I didn't like it. The fighting escalates, the arguments, the disagreements. We're fighting over everything from where we're going to go, what we're going to do, money. We
fought about everything, and little things became so big.
Things were not good, to say the least, and so I just threw down the gauntlet. I just walked back into the bedroom with Jena and I said, listen, I'm through with this marriage. I'm through with you. I'm done with this. I'm done.
So he took my suitcase out from under the bed and he started filling the suitcase with my clothes. And our 6-year-old son, came in and was crying and asking what was going on and why this was happening. And, Dale just kept saying, we got it, it's all gonna be okay.
Daddy's got this, Daddy's got this. Go get in the car, son, we're leaving.
And filled my suitcase with my clothes, and then he threw it in my car and said, I'm going to play golf, and when I get back, you need to be gone.
And I pulled out of the driveway and drove away.
And as he pulled away, I could see Cole sitting in the back seat, just waving by. And I don't think I'll ever get over that feeling. So we stand in front of a judge and say, we want a divorce, and I want sole custody of the kids. And Dale turns around and says the same thing. So our lawyers go and they talk together and they come back and say, if you leave the house, then Dale can say that you've abandoned the children. And Dale's lawyer tells him the same thing. So we are both advised to go back into the house and wait our turn for our trial to determine who's going to get the kids.
So there we are, living in that house together for 15 months, and I tell you, it was suffocating.
Trying to provoke each other to anger, trying to make somebody say something, trying to get somebody to threaten.
All kinds of manipulation, all kinds of game playing, all kinds of fear.
Encouraged to wear tape recorders, so I wore a tape recorder so that I could catch everything that Dale said.
For 1.5 years we did that.
Videotapes, private investigators.
I'm not going to eat the food you cook unless I see you take a bite first.
And the whole thing was get as much dirt on the other person as you can.
And that home just continued to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So we finally get our day in court.
All our friends and our family had now picked a side.
It involved our moms, and it involved our dads, and it involved people in our Bible study class that we led in our church, and it involved friends that we'd gone on vacations with.
It was now up to a judge to decide what was going to happen with our kids.
Hallelujah, this thing is over. I am just so glad this nightmare is over.
And so I just remember walking out and thinking, my life is just in all these broken pieces, and what do you do with this?
And little did I know that it was just beginning.
So we ended up having to go back into our house pending the decision of the judge. If you can believe that, after all we had said about each other, after all the twisted, distorted lies, deception, whatever that had taken place, we were now having to go back in a house together and act like everything was fine in front of our kids so that we could wait for the judge to make a decision. And it was about 4 to 6 weeks later when we finally got the phone call and the judge had given us joint custody. So there we were, and we're passing our kids back weekend after weekend. And that's the part that you forget about, that every other weekend that you're passing your kids back and forth, it felt like a never-ending funeral because your heart just died. Your marriage, the reality of your marriage dying every weekend.
There I am sitting at my office, and my phone rings, and it's Jena on the other line, and I'm thinking, wow, will she not give her brother a rest? So there we are on the phone, and just having World War III, fighting over everything.
In the midst of this whole fight, I just feel like it was like the Spirit of God. It just kind of came out of my mouth. I just said to Dale through tears, what have we done here? Why don't you come home and let's try to put this thing back together. Let's try to fix this thing. And
God had been doing this thing in my life, and He had been preparing me, as I think He had been preparing her for this moment.
I remember thinking, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Do I even want that to happen? Do I even believe that could happen?
I'm crying on the other end of the phone. She's crying.
I hung up the phone and I thought to myself, there's a huge choice to be made here. Is he going to choose to laugh at me and me be totally humiliated at just being frank and vulnerable and honest, or is he going to embrace that?
I leave the office. I could not get to our home as fast. I got there as fast as I could get there.
So about 15 minutes later, I heard a knock on the door, and it was Dale. And I walked down the stairs, and he took me by the hand, and he just said,
you know what, baby, I don't know how to do this. I don't know a lot anymore. I don't know a lot about anything anymore. All I got today is that this is the right thing to do.
And after several months of counseling and God just doing a huge work in my life individually and in Dale's life individually, on December 21st of 1997, we got to go back to an altar and remarry to the glory of God.